forward to, life after the draft or, thoughts about teams after the draft. Let's do a top 5 ranking of the teams after the
Okay.
draft, NFC and AFC. NFC, you probably
Okay.
might not like mine, but it's gonna get
Yeah,
good.
we'll probably have the Bears in there.
Number one, no, yeah, this isn't a surprise, but the Eagles, number one. I thought they had a
Yeah.
fantastic draft. They got a lot
Mhm.
better with Jahad Campbell, Makuba, the safety from Texas. Fantastic, selection with those. Ty Robinson, defense lineman from Nebraska. So they got better in the areas they needed to. I think Aziz Al-Jalari coming in, another Georgia defender. They have 8 Georgia defenders on this defense now.
Yeah,
Insanity.
ridiculous.
But Howie Roseman, another great offseason by him. Number 2, I like the Rams. I like the Rams a lot. Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, Matthew Stafford. They, didn't have the best draft, but they improved the areas they needed to. Secondary's coming back. Will be healthier next year. Defense will be, healthier. So I'm excited about that team. I think they're the best. They have the best chance to, dethrone the Eagles and make it to the Super Bowl out the NFC, in my opinion. Number 3, the Chicago Bears.
That's crazy.
I got them winning the North. And just with this, Ben Johnson coming in, you get that little bump with a new head coach, a new guy coming in, changing things around, confidence. This offense is going to be a top 5 offense in the NFL, I think. And I'm surprised they didn't take a running back as early as they should have. Who knows? We'll get into that later with some free agents. But I think, this Bears defense is going to be more aggressive with Dennis Allen coaching that side of the ball. I think, having like Ben Johnson, having that coaching changes this outlook of this team, because Eberflus alone by himself lost to the Chicago Bears 7 games in the last 2 seasons, in my opinion. So I think they'll get a bump there. Caleb, I expect a big year out of Caleb. This offense is going to be great. Like I said, defensively, they'll be just as good. Number 4, the Commanders. They didn't have the greatest draft, but I think getting Tunsil, getting Debo, getting Josh Connerly, the Oregon offensive tackle, Trey Amos, the corner from Ole Miss. I like the selections they made. I think they're going to be a really tough team to beat next year. They're only going to get better too. So Jaden Daniels, excited about him, and having, that continuity still there with Cliff being back, Dan Quinn still being there. That defense is going to get better another year under Dan Quinn. So I'm going to go Commanders at 4, Detroit Lions at 5.
Wow.
I don't think they got that much better. I think they'll take a step down to losing Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, in my opinion. And I just don't think they got that better.
In my opinion, the only thing that I would say, I would move the Bears out of there.
Okay.
And I would move I actually agree with everything besides I would take the Bears out completely.
Okay.
Move everyone up a spot and then move the Vikings in at 5th.
Okay. You think JJ is going to be formidable enough for them to still be competitive and still,
I think all JJ has to do is get the ball into the playmaker's hands.
Exactly.
And I think JJ will be good enough to do that. That's for sure. So, and like we talked about earlier, the Vikings do have a good defense.
They even got better too. So it's going to be scary. The one thing they were missing was interior pass rush. They have it on the outside, but you get Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave, and they're going to be pretty scary up front. So AFC teams, Baltimore number 1. This has got to be the year, you think. Getting Mike Green, getting, Malachi Starks in the back end, having another year with Zach Orr as a defensive coordinator, they'll be even better. Lamar Jackson getting D-Hop, which I think that was probably one of my favorite off-season pickups. I think people are sleeping on him. I don't think he's going to be a washed receiver, a Deshaun Jackson, one of these other receivers that comes into Baltimore. Sadly, OBJ. I think D-Hop is going to be a really good weapon for Lamar and this offense. I at first I wanted them to trade Mark Andrews, but now that they kept him, I'm not mad at it. A little recency bias with that move.
I think that was just a feelings thing.
Yeah, I wanted his ass gone for that loss, staining my GOAT's legacy with that drop, that fumble.
Hopefully he's been on the jugs machine.
Hopefully. And then the Chiefs, obviously number 2, they had a really good draft. Josh Simmons as their tackle. He's going to be a great left tackle for them. Wears 71 for a reason, Trent Williams. And they had some other pickups. Defensive line, they got some guys to fit behind Chris Jones.
I was hoping that the Chiefs would have gotten Cam Scatterboo.
I can't root for bro no more if he go there. Who did they get though? They got some running back. I'm trying to think who they got. I mean,
I don't remember.
Let me see. I like Pacheco, but he didn't come back as healthy. Like there's still concerns about his injury he had.
The league is also leaning towards a 2 running back system, if you've noticed.
Right.
The league is leaning towards that, and I think it's in large part because of the Lions and just the simple fact that running backs do tend to get hurt.
Yeah.
So,
bro, my buddy, his name's Jay Dill, right? There's sources that are saying that he's probably Nick Chubb's gonna be with the Chicago Bears, apparently.
Oh wow.
That
would be huge.
We'll get into that a little bit later, but Brashad Smith is the running back that the Chiefs selected from SMU. He's a solid RB. Jalen Royals from Utah State was a good selection too. He's going to be a speedy receiver, but I like the weapons the Chiefs have. I think they're not going to miss a beat. If they could be healthy, if Rashee Rice could be healthy, and if he could stay out of jail because he got that case on him, if he could stay out of jail, beat that case,
100%.
the Chiefs will be fine. Buffalo, I don't know how I feel about their draft. They made some decent additions.
Maxwell from Kentucky though, I really like him a lot.
And Joey Bosa too on the edge. You move off from Von Miller, who's older, always hurt, to get somebody a little younger, always hurt. So I think they improved some areas, but I don't know. That's my top 3 with teams. A surprising team I have in the top 5. I have the Texans 4. Moving off of Tunsil, I still think they got better enough at the tackle positions. Ariante Ursary from Minnesota, I think that was a great selection. Cam Robinson at tackle. They filled some of those spots. Drafting both Iowa State receivers, Knoll and Higgins, I think it was huge.
Yeah.
They have a lot of depth at the receiver position too now, so CJ Stroud should have a bounce back year with a new offensive coordinator too. I believe he's from the Rams. And then I got the Broncos at 5. Thoughts on the AFC teams?
Honestly, agree with the exception of Denver.
You don't like Denver? They're going to be phenomenal defensively.
I do like Denver, and I think they are in conversation to be top 5.
Okay.
But I think you can't really dismiss the Bengals though.
Right.
I still think the Bengals are in that conversation.
Okay.
And they just got to stay healthy and protect Joe. They still have to address, they still have some defensive needs that they need to address, but I think the Bengals are still in that conversation, especially when you have Joe Burrow. You still have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. So they'll be right there, but the Denver Broncos are in there too, though. So
yeah, I think getting Evan Ingram, Hufanga, and Drake Greenlaw, those were great additions. I thought they should have took a running back though. Personally,
I thought they were going to,
or a receiver, because they still need that's still an area of need for them. I seen somebody break down their draft and say Sean Payton, he's just going after guys that remind him of the Saints, like back in the Saints.
Yeah,
he signed a guy that played basketball, 6'8" tight end or something. In college, he had 4 receptions. All 4 receptions were touchdowns. So
he immediately thought of Jimmy Graham.
Yes, a red zone nightmare potentially. And Pat Bryant, he apparently is kind of like that, Colston, that Michael Thomas kind of weapon. He has good size.
I like Pat Bryant though.
I wanted him to potentially fall to the Bears, but I think he'll be good for them. RJ Harvey is apparently a smaller back, but he's explosive. He might be a good get for them. I think that was an underrated selection as well. So Broncos could be good. could take that next step potentially, maybe dethrone the Chiefs. Who knows? Some people thought the NFC North was going to be the worst division in football this season. They thought it was going to be as bad as the NFC South.